Hi, I'm Kim Cookson, and I'm with TrinityToday.ca, an online news source that's located in St. John, New Brunswick. And I am with mayor candidate Bill Farren. He is running for mayor, and he has been a 3-term councillor here in St. John. And we are sitting casually at his head office, his campaign office on 105 Charlotte Street in St. John, New Brunswick. Good afternoon, mayor candidate Bill Farren.
Good afternoon, Kim.
For full disclosure, we're friends, but we're also similar colleagues and with similar interests. But today, the only thing we want to talk about is Bill and why he's running for mayor. So I want to, Bill, introduce you to the online public as Bill Farren, the candidate, the husband, the father, grandfather, right? A longtime St. Johner.
59 years.
59 years young, right? And an active community, and you hold a senior position at Moosehead Breweries?
Just retired from there.
You did?
Because there's going to be a layoff, and there's people there with over 20 years service
Yes.
with younger families. I was the most senior person there. I didn't want to retire, but I figured that somebody could have used my job, so I left and didn't have too successful a winter. I'm used to getting up and going, and there wasn't that much to do when you first get retired. So the council kept me busy a bit, but I like to be busier.
Well, it's an honorable thing what you did. I think
Wow.
that should be commended, and thinking about our young people, which is a great segue into talking about population growth here in St. John. I have some notes because it's a lot of data and I feel more comfortable, so let me read from my notes. So I want to make sure I give this information to you as accurately as possible for our listeners, our viewers. In 2006, the average growth for the national average in major cities in Canada was 4%. Moncton, just up the highway here, half an hour, was 6% growth. But St. John was the only city in Canada that had a small deficit, I'd say, or decrease. That was 0.2%. Not so good. Then we fast forward to 2011 census. We had a minor uptick from 69,000 and change to 70,000, but significantly still low in the national average. So we've heard all the candidates over the years, we're going to increase, we're going to increase. That's been their big push, and you've been sitting on council for 3 terms. So the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses a few years ago identified St. John as the least friendly place to do business in Atlantic Canada. And in 2015, on the website, their Moncton's website, they were announcing they're the most friendliest city in Canada, Moncton. And then, one more thing before I'm going to let you respond, but I just want to give you the backstory, okay? Because I know you have a wealth of information to share. Then, in 2015, Turner Drake, which is a conglomerate real estate firm, announced that St. John has a 22% vacancy rate in retail and commercial. So Bill, we have some challenges, and you know, with your seasoning and 3 councils, and I think it's great that you stepped forward to be mayor. But as mayor's position, how do you identify we can fix these issues of declining population, retail, commercial space, lowest, average, and how are we going to fix this if you're mayor?
And you have to put poverty in that mix as well, in my mind.
Absolutely.
Because that affects the numbers that you talked about.
Absolutely, good point.
It's no simple. I don't care who's mayor. It's no simple overnight fix. But we've got and it irritates me to no end that every time I've gone through an election, I've heard the mayor and myself at the time say that this is what we're going to work on. And I have for the last 12 years worked on that. I've helped the Canadian Tire store on the west side get a new location because the residents there said that it was too small. I've turned around and helped get the Reversion Falls restaurant back up and running. Little Lake Pavilion, myself and 3 other people carried that charge for it. These are all things that the city wanted to tear down.
Yeah, right. Yes.
City taxpayers own that,
Yes.
not City Hall.
Right.
So they are the things that come out in my mind as a counselor and as a resident, first and foremost. When our own people are trying to save $1 or a nickel, wherever that is, to put someplace else because they want to tear this down so they don't have to spend money on it and spend it someplace else. Most times in my 12 years, that someplace else is not really something that benefits the residents of the city. Because the restaurant, Little League Pavilion, and
Oh, they're fabulous.
those are the places that benefit the community, and those are the places that staff want to tear down.
And people want to come into the city.
To enjoy those
Enjoy,
things,
exactly.
whether it's the fine dining at the falls, or it's over here at the Imperial Theater, or the St. John Theater Company learning how to act. And
So just so I complete that thought, so you've made this town, I'm going to segue into it. So you've been on the committees and the leadership team to make the things that are people-friendly stay in this town, okay?
I certainly have tried.
And I've witnessed that. So what do you think we need, what is the right leadership? What do we need here, Bill?
Well, I believe that you need leadership that won't take the guff of some staff. We've got some good staff, but there are some staff that still need to realize the fact that this isn't their dime, it's the taxpayers' dime that they're playing with.
Right.
And those type of people, that's what they're doing. In my mind, they're playing with it. So you need the leadership to turn around and say, hey, listen, I don't care if you have Section 74 or you're protected by the union or what have you. This is where everybody in the city wants to go.
For the common good.
This is where we have to go because they're asking us to do that for them. That's why they elected us. So those are the things that we have to have the leadership on. We have to start with our own, inside our own city hall and say, hey, listen, these are the things that are important to our citizens. They told us this, so we're going to provide it. Now, you're either on board, and if you need some tools to help you get on board, to better qualify yourself, fine, I'll help you with that. But if you're just sitting back and saying, no, I'm not moving, then I'm going to be saying you're moving on.
Right, we're transitioning you to another.
Not to another department, like what's happened.
Okay, good.
They're moving on, because if they're no good in this department, they're not going to be any better in another department.
Great.
At least my way of thinking. So those are the type of things we have to start within City Hall.
Right.
Like this morning, I've got a phone call from a fellow that went to City Hall last week, went to the new one-stop shop. It's supposed to be the Cadillac that we've got set up in City Hall now for development.
Correct.
And he asked to get the curb cut out in front of his place, his house, so we can put a driveway in to access the back of his property. And from what he said, and I haven't talked to staff yet on this, he said that they just blatantly said, no, I'm not going to do it, with no explanation. Whether the staff acted that way or not, that gets back out into the public,
Right.
within our own public,
Right.
and it resonates into the public of Fredericton, Moncton, the rest of the province, the rest of the other provinces. And when I bring people in here to invest or to live, they hear that.
Yeah.
Who wants to have anything to do with that type of atmosphere? So we have to change at City Hall,
Right.
and then the residents will start changing over themselves and be more positive about our city. And then that takes another step for me to say that when I go to my family contacts in business, I can say, hey, listen, this is the kind of city we got. Come on in, have a look.
Well, I'll speak briefly on that curve. So when this individual came in, there wasn't like, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
There wasn't a helpful, from what he said now,
Yeah,
I haven't
so
talked
you're
to
gonna-
staff.
And so you're going to look into that, and hopefully, as a counselor, sitting counselor, you can still make some changes. But as a mayor, you'll have more influence.
Staff, for some reason, seem to pay attention to the mayor a lot more than they do the
That's
council.
what, okay, so good. I want
To put it politely.
I want to get that on camera because I think that's very important as a leadership. So you'll have, and again, you're a sitting council for 3 terms, so I definitely, from pure data, you are a seasoned and you've made some incredible inroads during your time. So my next question is, now I'm in the media and looking online and doing research and reading, I look at every type of metrics going on, and transparency in other cities, whether it's Moncton, Fredericton, Toronto, any city I want to go to in the area that I'm interested in, I can get transparency and numbers quickly. I can even call up and they'll call me back in 24 hours. But I can't get that transparency online. At one time, our budget was looking like a photocopy. It's better now, but it was like a photocopy sideways on the, it was looking pretty bleak. The communication and transparency, I gotta tell you, Bill, it needs help. And I'm sure we've got to correct this transparency issue. What would you do? Do you see that as an issue?
No, and that's my part of refining inside of City Hall.
Okay.
And I don't really blame the people who are there. The people, they should know better, but that's not the way they should work. Mm-hmm. But City Hall, in my opinion, has had decades of that type of thing. Even though they're getting paid by their employer, the taxpayer, they feel it's beneath them. Some of them feel it's beneath them mm-hmm. to have to respond to them.
Really?
And that's my opinion. Yeah. Because, you know, if my employer comes up to me and says, Bill, I want you to, well, I might have a question about it, but I'm going to do it.
Yes, yes.
As any employee does, or otherwise that employee's not there.
Right.
Tomorrow. But that comes from decades of that type of thinking. Mm-hmm. You don't have to respond. You don't have to do this. No.
Yes.
Oh, man, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just let them phone somebody else. So that's the type of thing that good, strong leadership. And it's going to take a council as well to start turning that around. I think this present day council has started down that road.
Yes.
But we have backed off on a couple of things or we softened, let's say it that way, mm-hmm. That we could have made some more and deeper inroads. And I'm not going to be able to make those inroads overnight. I'm going to need a council's support over that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm going to be pushing for that very hard mm-hmm. Because that changes the attitude of City Hall, it changes the attitude of the city.
And the outcomes.
And the outcomes are going to be a heck of a lot easier for me when I go see some business friends or people that I don't know in Toronto or London that says, I'm going to be able to bring you into this type of atmosphere and start your business and attract more people and more jobs here. And I don't have to sit back saying, on the plane back home saying, oh, geez, I hope things work out there and something doesn't blow up.
Oh, no, we need everyone on the winning bus.
Exactly.
I get it.
So,
Bill, this is going to be my final question, and hopefully we can do a couple more of these videos before the election, mm-hmm. And we'll be talking about different issues. But my final question is, I've heard you on CBC and other media outlets about raising the bar. And from personally, before you ran, we always talked about raising the bar. Can you clarify what the bar? I know what you mean because we talk the same language, but what do you mean?
Raising the bar is getting to that next level, that next step of service delivery, satisfaction, growth, jobs. Raising the bar to satisfaction. Satisfaction of our employees at City Hall, satisfaction of our residents throughout the city, satisfaction of business people coming into the city. Nobody wants to come into a city and invest in the city if they're scared that it's not going to be there tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
And nobody wants to be associated in the business community behind them. Why did you move to St. John? All we hear are these negative things, that they're a bunch of losers, they've got the highest taxes, they got the highest water rates.
Poverty.
Why, highest poverty? Why would you move to that community and set your business up there? Nobody wants to bet on a losing horse. So that they don't want to go back to the union clubs and wherever they go mm-hmm. and overhear somebody at the next table saying, that's the guy that invested in St. John. I wonder how long he's going to survive. Mm. I want to raise that bar to when he hears somebody in the next table having their lunch, mm-hmm. that's the guy in St. John that invested in that community and it looks like he's going to be a winner.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. You're campaigning. You just finished going door to door, you went to Parkland.
Went to Parkland.
Beautiful facility. Now that's beautiful. A great one.
Yes, beautiful
The
place.
Shannon family, Mr. Lovely, wonderful spot. Jobs, great for the community. Well, we appreciate it, trinitytoday.ca, and I'm Kim Cookson with trinitytoday.ca, and we are definitely pro Bill Farren for mayor. Have a great day.